calling Waynesville City Council meeting for October 15th to order. Do we have a, if anybody has any cell phones, if they could put them on silence, please. Roll call, please.
Councilman Farnham.
Here.
Councilman Davis.
Here.
Councilman Wilson.
Here.
Councilman Curtis.
Here.
Councilman Rice.
Here.
Councilman Liberty.
Here.
Councilman Conley.
Here.
Councilman France.
Here.
Mayor Brown.
Here.
Thank you.
Mr. Wilson, could you lead us in invocation?
Thanks, everyone. Please bow your head and let's pray. Heavenly Father, Father God, first of all, we thank you for this day that you have given us. We thank you for all of the leaders and those that work here at the city. We ask that you continue to extend your grace and your mercy to us so that we can continue to perform the duties that are called of us with excellence, with diligence, and being fair in all aspects. We ask that you continue to extend your mercies to us and give us ideas of how to make this city and this community better as we learn to work together as a community of people. We ask this in your holy name. Amen.
Amen. Mr. Farnham, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I would like to welcome the students who will be taping and filming this tonight. Aiden Poole, Angelina McCorkle, Avery Cockman, and Carson Whittle. Thank you for your help tonight. I'd like to have a recommendation for a consent agenda.
Motion. Second.
All in favor, show of hands.
Thank you.
Do we have any citizens' comment this evening? We're going to set on to our special guests and presentations. First one will be Business Spotlight, Paradise Deli. Would you like to come up to the front here? You and... Oh, I'm sorry, right up here in front.
I'm back.
Well, yeah.
Clarence, don't laugh.
Right in front of God and everyone.
No, come on.
I'm shy.
You get between these two
The
guys.
shyest lady I know. Here.
I guess we're Steve, right?
Mayor.
There you go.
This is a proclamation in honor of Paradise Deli and Ursula's
Schnitzel House.
Schnitzel House. Whereas, in 1982,
Yeah.
a long time ago,
Yeah.
Paradise Deli and Ursula's Schnitzel House started as a small restaurant in evening shade, named Daylight Donuts and Restaurant. After enjoying several good years in evening shade, the business expanded and moved to Waynesville, Missouri. Whereas Paradise Deli, known far and wide for its mouth-watering German food, Paradise Deli is a modern American restaurant with old-world taste and flavor. And whereas Paradise Deli has twice been named the best German food in Pulaski County,
Thank you.
the restaurant has received numerous letters of appreciation from Fort Leonard Wood for their hospitality and support of our military and their family. Also, as supporters of our community, Paradise Deli has participated in countless areas charity events over the years as well. And, a lot of ands. Paradise Deli is connected to the past, a gathering place of people young and old who come to taste Europe. They are never disappointed. The City Council of Waynesville extends the most sincere gratitude to Paradise Deli and Ursula's Schnitzel House for almost 40 years of service to our community.
Thank you.
I might add, this, you were probably the first restaurant that I had meal in when I first moved to town 21 years ago.
Yeah, it's a long time ago, Terry, right?
You're over Mitch's bill.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Another special guest we have is Kelly Beats with Murmur. He would come up and kind of give us a thumbnail of what are you doing for the city? And what are we doing for you?
Thank you, Mayor. MIRMA is an acronym for Missouri Intergovernmental Risk Management Association. So it's a mouthful, so we use the acronym MIRMA. You guys joined MIRMA, help me out, Michelle, was that
2018.
2018? And been a great member. You've got work comp, property, liability, employment practice, pretty much everything the city does. Airport liability, cyber, everything the city's involved in. We're an association. To keep the association costs down, we've identified areas of greater risk or areas where we can continue to see greater losses, either frequency or severity. And that's why I'm here tonight. We have a risk grant program that I think several departments participated in this year to go along with their safety programs that the city's instituted to help address and minimize these risks. So in our risk grant program tonight, it looks like the electric department submitted for 2 crimpers for the utility trucks. Crimpers are a great work comp tool, prevent the guys from hurting their wrists and shoulders and overhead hazards and stuff like that. They got 2 crimpers. We're reimbursing the city back $2,544 for their safety program on that. And then the other 2 items are in the police department. Their personal safety as well as public safety or a little bit of liability protection. For the police department, they've got some body cams coming. We're giving back $1,030 for some body cams for the officers to wear. Great tool for the officers as well as for the public. And we have, we're submitting some money back on 1 dash camera, $2,825. So when that those items get purchased, Maryam's going to do that, make sure this is received and copy of the invoice is sent back to us, and we'll write you a check back for $6,500. But I did make this wonderful looking little plaque for you. Who do you want me to give this to?
How about Dr. Brown?
Mayor?
You gotta give him
Well, I got to get it somewhere. I'm not taking it.
You gotta give him
Oh, I got to get up here.
John, you can have to.
I don't know how you guys want this.
We'll put you in the middle. You're the one giving the plaque.
Try not to get anybody in the background. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
John, taking care of that.
I will.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks for letting me do my Waynesville, I've been working with them for a couple of years. It's a great town to work with. Every department has been really good to work with. I've never had such a beginning relationship with the community like I have at Waynesville. So kudos to all the department heads and everyone that I get to work with. And great, it really is a great town to work with. So thanks for having me.
Very much.
Next on the agenda is our board commission and liaison reports. Park Board, Amanda, make it good. It's your last one for a while, isn't it?
I know, right? I hope so. I hope that's what Jeff says. Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening.
Our meeting, shortest one I've ever had. 12 whole minutes. Great, absolutely great. So the Master Gardeners reported that they are participating in the Farmers Market Halloween event. It's going to be a fundraiser for them because they haven't been able to hold classes due to COVID, and that money goes back into taking care of the demo garden. So if you're out on Halloween and you're going to be at the Farmers Market, please make sure to stop by and see their booth. We didn't get a sports program report. because Aaron wasn't in, and we didn't get a report from Trey, because Trey wasn't able to come. He had an emergency. But after the fact, I did get some information from Trey that they did winterize the splash pad. So that's all good. Our Tiger Park equipment came in for the new playground, and so they're currently working on putting that together. And he thinks that we can have that all in the ground and ready to go within a couple of weeks as long as the weather holds out. So that's good information. No real big issues in the park, just a couple of things that we've already noted and talked to John about. Yeah, there was a lot of activity in the park for October. If you look at the list of things that were going on, I think we're trying to take advantage of the being outside and socially distancing while there's still weather to be outside in. So that's all I have.
That was shorter than 12 minutes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Nobody has any questions? Jeff is our new chairman, so unless
You
he
weren't
makes
at the
me-
meeting, Jeff?
Unless he makes me. No, I said, oh no, I'll follow through.
Good job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And planning and zoning, there was no meeting held. John, do you have anything to add on that?
No.
If there's any of the citizens in Waynesville who would be interested in serving on any of these boards or commissions, please contact City Hall. We could appreciate any and all volunteers and help. Standing committees, utility, Mr. Friends.
I call the meeting to order October 6th at 3:30 p.m. All members were present. We approved the September 1st, 2020 meeting minutes, and we moved a couple of agenda items around. Then pretty much department updates. Natural gas has installed some new services around areas that are being built on Paradise and that. The natural gas employee, Jacob Lopez, has finished his online testing and is now doing field work, completed his training. The electric department had several work orders. They started back on the reconductoring of the line on Bluff Circle. That's the one that we're working on to raise the lines on so that we can get the equipment in there ultimately to do paving and stuff like that. Because right now the lines are all too low, as well as some of our people, cable, vision, and some of the other telephone that have lines, they're even lower. So this reconductoring, putting new poles in will take care of that. They put up a new recloser in front of the school admin building, and every month we get a report on power outages that have been saved because of the reclosers we put in. And so it's just another item to enhance reliability of our electrical power. We finished pole testing. This has been a 2-year program. Last year we had 12 poles that we found in the first section that needed to be replaced. And this year we found 52. So basically we've got a full year plus of pole replacings, as well as carrying on the normal day-to-day activities that our electric department does. So they've got a lot of work cut out for them. Our contractor, who has been clearing our right-of-ways, is at about a 90% solution for this fiscal year. Wastewater has had several work orders and fixed 4 water main breaks. They moved the fire hydrant that was in the area, was in the wrong place down near the new bathroom, so that the extension of the sidewalk, the walking trail, could go through. They installed a valve at the industrial park, replaced a pump for the lift station out on Risky Road, and they're continuing work towards getting our brand new water tank and the water system out in Northern Heights up and running. We had to order some more parts. Draft budget, we went through the draft budget, and this was our 2nd month of doing that. Everything's looking good. Our next scheduled meeting is November 3rd at 3:30 in the conference room here. All citizens are invited to attend.
Thank you, Mr. France. Any questions for Mr. France?
I've got one. Have you guys ever thought about metal poles instead of wood, or is there too much money difference, or?
There is a significant cost to them. And these poles, they last a long time. I mean, we're looking at poles that are 30 and 40 years old
That was gonna be
for a $300 pole.
the
That's,
light.
I mean, and if you're reconductoring and putting in a lot, well, like 52 poles, the price difference would be very significant. Because then you have different cross arms, and all that would have to go with it. They can't use the same type of cross arms that we utilize.
Okay, that's what I was wondering, Mike.
Yeah,
Thanks.
different components.
Mike, do you know if they're gonna clean that right away behind my house? We had talked about that, and, you know, that right behind my house, it's,
Down through that low ground
Yeah.
area. I don't know off the top of my
Okay.
head at this moment, but I'll tell you, John, if you would, let's
I'll look into
put
that.
that on my ministry meeting next
Yes, sir.
time. And
It's
we'll
on
talk about
Francis.
2021 areas to be cleared,
thanks, Mike.
okay?
Economic Development, Mr. Farnham.
Yes, sir. Economic Development on October 6th. We received a copy of the draft budget, which went to the final council for approval. We discussed a sunshine request for documents from the county as far as reimbursement through the CARES Act. That information will be brought back to the next Economic Development meeting. As we just gave the award to Paradise Deli and Ursula's Schnitzel House, we had discussed her business for the spotlight for the month of October. We have decided for November to honor Westside Salon and Boutique. We discussed the October 8th Back to Blue. I don't know what the turnout was like, but I wasn't.
It was canceled.
It was canceled, okay. We have Oktoberfest on the square schedule through the 17th. The Pumpkin Fest is still on in the park. And we discussed whether or not we were going to have trick-or-treaters in the city, and it was consensus that yes, we would have Halloween in the city of Waynesville. So I would just suggest that everybody watch out for the little ghouls and goblins out on the streets. If you want to participate, turn your light on like usual. If not, leave it off. Information was provided to the committee for different financial assistance opportunities through the Department of Natural Resources. And I haven't read all my booklet yet, but I plan on checking it real close to see if there's anything we could add to the wish list. We did discuss business regulations and business licenses within the city limits, and updating the fees of some of the real old numbers that we've had on the books for years. So we do have a couple of ordinances taken care of concerning some of the meeting. Our next meeting is scheduled for November 3rd at 5 p.m. and that's about the gist of our meeting.
Any other questions for Mr. Farnham? We have several proposed ordinances. Bill 2020-16. Would you read that, please?
Sure. First reading, bill number 2020-16, an ordinance amending chapter 220 of the municipal code of the city of Waynesville regarding solid waste regulations, fixing an effective date. Second reading, an ordinance amending chapter 220 of the municipal code of the city of Waynesville regarding solid waste regulations, fixing an effective date.
Mr. Doyle, you have anything to add to that before we seek approval?
Not much, just maybe a summary. This ordinance will require existing waste sanitation companies and the corresponding vehicles to obtain a business license in the city of Waynesville. Okay? We are looking at that for their vehicles, even the special, what we would consider maybe a collection vehicle, which would be your roll-off options, and then a waste container permit as well, so they are permitted and we know that they have a license with the city. You're going to see several denied, as they said, about business license within the city as we start to
come around to that time of year, we're gonna be renewing these things in 3 months. So we wanna make sure that they are in place and correct and reviewed, prior to the renewal period in January.
Now, would that include the recycle bill?
That is actually, the recycle program is actually a contracted service for the city, okay? So that's gonna be looked separately. That is a contracted service for the city. That is not a private. So right now, we're looking at mainly your commercial dumpsters, okay? Things out there that the private contractors are actually doing.
Thank you. And this does not apply to the city of St. Robert?
Correct.
Because they're also a contract?
Correct.
Do I have a motion for this?
Motion.
Mr. Liberty, motion?
Second. Second.
For Mr. Conley. He spoke up first, but not too loud.
Okay.
Do we have any discussion on this? You call the roll, please.
Councilman France,
Yes.
Councilman Conley,
Yes.
Councilman Liberty,
Yes.
Councilman Rice,
Yes.
Councilman Curtis,
Yes.
Councilman Wilson,
Yes.
Councilman Davis,
Yes.
Councilman Farnum.
Yes.
Thank you.
Our second proposed ordinance, Bill 2020-17. Can you read that, please?
First reading, bill number 2020-17, an ordinance establishing rules and regulations regarding itinerant vendors, fixing an effective date. Second reading, 2020-17, an ordinance establishing rules and regulations regarding itinerant vendors, fixing an effective date.
Mr. Doyle, could you elaborate on that
And
ordinance?
so itinerant vendors is, our main focus here is to begin a license and regulation process for food vendors in our park, in our city. This is starting to become more popular, and asking how was it done before? How did we handle these types of situations before? And honestly, give you an example, when they go down to the city park, which is a very popular place to find these types of vendors, we provide electrical connections for them. They connect to our electric. They're using our electric. They're using probably 3 to 4 parking spaces to, conduct their business. So this is the first time the city's really had an ordinance that would give any type of regulation or policy forward to regulate these types of businesses. So we see that coming next year again. Like I said, in January, we're gonna have some guys come in with food trucks wanting a business license in the city, and we're trying to establish an ordinance now, and that's what this ordinance represents, to begin this process.
Before they come to us, do they also, when they come to us, do they have to have their health certificate
Yes, sir.
to show that it's current and all that?
Yes, sir.
Do I have a motion for this ordinance?
Motion.
Mr. Davis?
A second.
Mr. Wilson seconded. Roll call, please.
Councilman France,
Yep.
Councilman Conley,
Yes.
Councilman Liberty,
Yes.
Councilman Rice.
Yes.
Councilman Curtis.
Yes.
Councilman Wilson.
Yes.
Councilman Davis.
Yes.
Councilman Farnum.
Yes.
Thank you.
Proposed ordinance, Bill 2020-18. Reading, please.
Yes, first reading of bill number 2020-18, an ordinance amending Title 4 of the municipal code as it pertains to general business and alcoholic beverage licensing and permitting, fixing an effective date. Bill number 2020-18, an ordinance amending Title 4 of the municipal code as it pertains to general business and alcoholic beverage licensing and permitting, fixing an effective date.
Mr. Doyle, could you elaborate on that one?
Sure. So this ordinance is basically updating the annual fees of the license or the permit for 2021. It doesn't address all of them as far as, or it doesn't increase all of them. It only increases a few, and it adds a few that weren't on the previous ordinance. So some of the additions that we see in there that we're looking at, maybe microbrewery. Those are popular. So we're trying to branch out a little bit, expanding this ordinance to make it more encompassing of the type of ordinance that you're covering, or the beverages. I've got comparisons here, very comparable to surrounding cities on the permit or license amount. So that's kind of what we base this on, and nearly identical to most of the surrounding cities.
Any discussion from the council? I'm going to look for a motion for this ordinance.
Motion.
Mr. Curtis?
Second.
Mr. Liberty seconded. Roll call, please.
Councilman Farnum?
Yes.
Councilman Davis?
Yes.
Councilman Wilson?
Yes.
Councilman Curtis?
Yes.
Councilman Rice?
Yes.
Councilman Liberty?
Yes.
Councilman Conley?
Yes.
Councilman France?
Yes.
Thank you.
Police Committee. Mr. Liberty.
Meeting was October 8th. A citizen of Waynesville advised committee he was frustrated regarding theft case that involves several $1,000s of steel and gravel. That was discussed. We were told that that is in the county prosecutor's office at this time. Committee was presented with a draft police budget for 2021 and hope to have the final budget in November. Ordinances pertaining to speed limit of Sweetburg Road, vehicles for hire, and concealed carry weapons were discussed, with the committee voting to send it to the full council for approval. The yearly Back to Blue event was scheduled for October 8th in the park, and as you heard earlier, it was canceled. Police Department will be receiving further FATS firearm training simulation, and that's through MIRMA. Very good program. Next scheduled meeting will be November 5th at 3:30.
Thank you. We have three proposed ordinances. Bill number 2020-7. Reading, please.
First reading, 2020-07, an ordinance amending ordinance number 2112, establishing the speed limit of 35 miles per hour for a certain section of Sweetburg Road unless otherwise posted, establishing penalties for violation, repealing conflicted ordinances, fixing an effective date. Second reading, 2020-07, bill number, an ordinance amending ordinance number 2112, establishing a speed limit of 35 miles per hour for a certain section of Sweetburg Road unless otherwise posted, establishing penalties for violation, repealing conflicted ordinances, fixing an effective date.
Do I have a motion? Mr. Conley, Mr. Rice, seconded. Any discussion?
Yes. And y'all know I already kind of a little chapped about it anyway. So, has there been a traffic study done on Sweetburg Road where it comes from the exterior of the city limits down to where Elliott is? Has there been a traffic study done? Because I am almost betting that more people come down the road from the Summit side than come from the exterior of the city limit side. And if we're going to change that to 35 miles an hour coming through there, and like I said, I've almost been hit at that stop sign several times, and I'm an extremely cautious driver.
It's before that, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's way before that.
So our
They shut it down
speed
to
limit
25.
is not
Yeah.
affecting that
That
area.
stop sign.
Mm.
So, I'm just saying, they already do 35 through there, like a champ, at least 35.
Okay.
And they come down that hill, and I want to say within the city limits, there might be 6 houses within the city limits there, maybe 7. And there's other people that come from Reporter Road down there, everything, I get that too. But you're coming down that hill into a dark location where people off of Elliott live, and kids, I mean, they don't play in Sweetburg because of the way people drive down, but you're going into dark conditions right there.
But it's
If we change that-
25 way before Summit Pass.
So like 1,500 yards or
1,500 feet from Summit
There's
Pass.
plenty of time to slow down.
1,500 feet.
There's 25 coming down that hill.
Okay, I'm just telling you, there's going to be some accidents there. There's going to be some accidents there. Because they already do 35, 40 through there.
That's a separate issue, and that's something we need to probably address
Because,
You know.
me personally, I think there needs to be a stop sign 2 ways right there.
No, we just, at one point, discussed making it a 4-way stop, or 3-way
A
stop.
3-way stop, it should be a 3-way
We
stop.
figured the people from Summerlin would be the biggest complainers. To be honest.
We already do 35 down that hill to stop at a stop sign. So why would we be complainers if the other sides are stopping?
And the speed limit on your road's 35,
The
yes?
speed limit on our house is 35. And we roll down there to a stop sign.
Yes. And then,
So should we change the speed limit to 25 on
For
your
us?
road?
Well, no.
Okay.
We go to a stop sign. You can make that 45 miles an hour if they go to a stop sign.
I don't think a stop sign's gonna change things.
That's why I say, has a traffic study been done there?
I don't believe raising the speed limit on that portion of the road, where it's almost impossible to do less than that anyway, is going to change the driving habits of the people. Hopefully not.
I don't think it will.
However, if we want to build a speed trap, we can leave it at 25. They can't do 25, so we can collect money. Speed traps are illegal.
Speed traps are illegal, but, I mean, that's just kind of.
No,
To me,
I
that's a
tell you
dumb
what.
statement to make.
We will bring it up to the
I mean,
chief.
I am asking, has a traffic study been done there?
No, but we will bring it up to the chief and have that be monitored with a speed trailer or something. We had a speed trailer out. Thank you.
There's been a speed trailer there.
So there's been a
But we get
traffic
no data
study.
off that speed trailer.
Well, that speed trailer has how many vehicles, their speed, what
We
time,
don't
all
get any
that.
data off.
So that's a traffic study.
Chief?
Wouldn't that trailer go closer to the turn going into the summit?
Yes.
We're talking about coming from the county down the newly paved hill and newly paved road.
Mhm.
That's what we're talking about raising the speed limit on, is that section
Say,
there.
we probably shouldn't have paved that road.
I was waiting for that one.
It'd been slower.
Chief, has there been a data coming from your speed wagon?
No. I do believe we can, but we have to set it up very specifically. When we set it up, it'll be for a short term, basically for a few days to up to a week at the most. Basically, it's as long as the batteries will maintain, because the batteries basically die on you, you lose your data. So it can be, if it becomes necessary, it's replaced.
Mr. Doyle, can you make sure?
Well, and I was just gonna say, we went through roads and grounds with this, and then we went through police, and I'd like to state that you're not the only one that expressed concern at that intersection, and we had other concerns. The thing is we did not change any traffic conditions at that intersection. We, just to kind of give you an idea of distances, from that intersection to the city limits, up where the paved road starts or ends, however you look at it, is roughly 3,000 feet of roadway, okay? We have taken dead center of that, 1,500 feet, and made that 35 mile an hour from 1,500 feet back to the city limits. From
So we're basically
1,500
moving-
feet to that intersection, it is 25 miles an hour.
So we're basically doing a 35 mile an hour zone for 1,500 feet then?
Yes, sir. And what it is we're gonna redo signage. I think we are going to put a reduced speed ahead sign at the bottom of that hill. And then when you come around the corner towards the 1,500 foot, there is a significant straight stretch or straight area where you can see the 25 mile an hour sign. And that's where the speed limit will be reduced. And then you drive 1,500 feet to the intersection that you're referencing. And some of it, I mean, we looked at it full out, 35, because we thought, well, 35 on your street. And then, because it doesn't make sense that the faster traffic stops. Typically, the faster traffic has the right of way or the higher speed limit, but there it's not like that. It's exact opposite. But it will remain the same for school bus pickup reasons. I think that is a snow route pickup location and things like that. So during the planning of this, we seen kind of need in both directions. So the traffic speed limit at that intersection and 1,500 feet to the west will not be changed. It will still remain 25
How
miles
is
an hour.
visibility at that intersection? Because
There
you
is
got
no
trees.
visibility at that intersection. The reason people pull up all the way to that stop sign is because you can't see to the left,
Yeah.
because there's trees
All
and
that
stuff in the way.
vegetation. You know, we might get out there and cut a bunch of that stuff
But
down.
here's gonna be my second question, and you kind of hit on it. Why is the city spending money to change signage and everything else for 1,500-foot road?
It's all of Sweetbird Road. All right, after
I
that.
get it, but if we gotta go put up new signs, everything else, we're paying labor for signs, we're paying money for signs, we're paying a whole lot of money for 1,500-foot of road.
Apparently, a concern was brought up in Roads and Grounds and in police, and it brought those two committees, and they felt it was something we could go through with. So we're basing this on different committees' recommendations. Any other questions? Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilman Farnum?
Yes.
Councilman Davis?
Nope.
Councilman Wilson?
Yes.
Councilman Curtis?
Yes.
Councilman Rice?
Yes.
Councilman Liberty?
Yes.
Councilman Conley?
Yes.
Councilman France?
Yes.
Ordinance passes. Second one, Bill 2020-19.
First reading, 2020-19, an ordinance repealing ordinance 2009 in regards to unlawful use of weapons, concealed carry, firearms, fixing an effective date. 2020-19, an ordinance repealing ordinance 2009 in regards to unlawful use of weapons, concealed carry, firearms, fixing an effective date.
Mr. Doyle?
This ordinance is referencing specifically your concealed carry ordinance in the city. Again, this ordinance was created years ago when concealed carry passed in Missouri, but was never updated when open carry was also eventually accepted constitutionally. So in review of this, we discussed it and decided in the committee that it was probably at the best interest of the city, instead of continually looking at this concealed carry and it evolving, we just reference the state law, and as the state addresses this issue, ours automatically follows that. Because this ordinance was outdated for many years.
Do I have a motion for this ordinance?
Motion.
Mr. Curtis, second. Mr. Liberty?
Rob.
We'll give it to you.
All right.
You'll get it next.
Get my name.
Any further discussion?
This was actually done to bring the ordinance to comply with state statute.
Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilman Farnum?
Yes.
Councilman Davis?
Yes.
Councilman Wilson?
Yes.
Councilman Curtis?
Yes.
Councilman Rice?
Yes.
Councilman Liberty?
Yes.
Councilman Conley?
Yes.
Councilman France?
Yes.
Thank you.
Passes. Bill 2020-20, reading please.
First reading of Bill 2020-20, an ordinance amending Chapter 610 taxi cabs, fixing an effective date. Bill number 2020-20, an ordinance amending Chapter 610 taxi cabs, fixing an effective date.
Mr. Doyle, any comment?
So
By the way, that was interesting reading that ordinance.
yeah, okay, good. So this ordinance goes to address, like she said, taxi cabs, but it also addresses other services in a unique way, and those services would be like Uber drivers, Lyft, etc. The taxi cab, it's a benefit for them. We're going through, again, this is tied to business license. The previous ordinance required approval by council for each taxi cab, and honestly, that could be a 30-day wait for that person who's providing the services, where we believe that we could just approve that as long as they had all the information that was required. And then the Uber and Lyft was added. It is a situation there where we cannot require individual drivers to have a license, but we can go after the corporate to make them have a license. So that gives the city of Waynesville the authority to go after.
We still have no screening rights on people driving for Uber or Lyft?
No,
I
sir.
mean, no, we don't know their backgrounds as far as maybe being pedophiles,
We
That goes
have-
back to the corporate entity.
Yes.
but the corporate doesn't report to us.
Yes,
And our
Yeah,
responsibility,
they
Yes,
do,
they
they're
do.
responsible.
they tell us who the drivers are.
yeah, they have to provide background information on their drivers and basically sign off on their drivers that there's nothing like what you just discussed.
Well,
In
you know,
order
they've
for them
had
to
the
get their
ones that went
license.
around shooting people out in Phoenix
Yeah.
and stuff like that. They've had several, regardless of what the company was, that have committed sexual offenses against women and stuff like this. So I'm not too hip on their security procedures.
And
I think they're
Currently-
just in it for the money.
sure. But currently, we have, the existing ordinance that the city has does not address these types of drivers in any way. So we're trying to.
I know, when they
get that.
first started coming around, I talked about all that stuff a few years back, and it didn't do us any good.
And it's challenging, really, to address these, but we're doing what we can here.
I would just tell our citizens, be aware before you get in anybody's car.
John, when you say corporate's responsible for the driver, is corporate based in the state of Missouri?
It depends.
They
It may
can
be, it
be.
may not be.
They
So
can be.
basically, if you have an Uber driver that's pulled over by one of our police officers, that police officer is gonna wanna know if their corporate has a business license with Waynesville. If they don't, that driver is gonna be told to not be picking up fares in Waynesville until their corporate gets a business license, they get a hold of me, and then to go through this whole process.
Well, I can't see how the city would have any leverage against corporate. Corporate's based in California or New York or somewhere other state.
Isn't some of this based on Missouri statute also?
It's all based on
Yeah.
Missouri
It
statute.
is, and the thing is they can be based in any state, they're doing business in Waynesville.
Right.
So, like when I was, just a different type of example, but when I was doing engineering in Waynesville, my address wasn't Waynesville. My address was Dixon. But the city required me to get a business license in Waynesville because I was
Weren't you
doing,
licensed by the state?
I was.
See, that's
I was
different.
licensed by the state of Missouri, but you could, it didn't matter if I was from, Kansas, Iowa, whatever, wherever I would be licensed. If I was doing work here and somebody came today and said, hey, there's an engineering company and they're doing work out here in the city, I'm going to ask them to get a city business license.
Well, I would think any corporation that was doing business within the state of Missouri should have some type of affiliation with Missouri, either by license, paying fees,
Mhm.
and you should be able to go back on them if their people are doing things wrong.
Mhm.
If they're based out in LA, ain't much we can do.
Let me check on that and see if
Mhm.
state can.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Do I have a motion for this ordinance?
Motion.
Mr. Liberty, second. Mr. Rice, roll call, please.
Councilman France,
Yeah.
Councilman Conley,
Yes.
Councilman Liberty,
Yes.
Councilman Rice,
Yes.
Councilman Curtis,
Yes.
Councilman Wilson,
Yes.
Councilman Davis,
Yes.
Councilman Farnum.
No.
Thank you.
That ordinance passes. Next committee, Roads and Grounds. Mr. France.
I call the meeting to order on October 1st, 2020 at 4 p.m. At the last Roads and Grounds Committee meeting, several residents from Old Farm Estates attended the meeting and voiced their concerns about conditions of their roads. We went in there and we did a lot of patching of potholes, and the feedback we have received has been very positive. That is not a long-term solution, but it has worked as an interim measure. Street overlay update, we've completed pretty much all the roads that were on the original plan. We were going to do Tribune. I've learned tonight that Tribune, which is the main road through our industrial park, it was due to be paved this month. It's not going to be paved. We're instead going to take that money that was to pave it, because there's still construction going on out there, and do some more streets that need to be done within the city, and they'll be done. So we're going, and we'd already approved at least 5 or 6 more streets to go in, because we also have some COP money that has to be spent this year. And so We're going to be doing a lot more than what we had originally scheduled for this year. And we'll go over 2021 roads at my next meeting. We went over the draft 21 budget, and everything in there is looking good, and so we're happy with it. The street department has completed 6 work orders, 5 utility cuts. They've done some mowing, completed street overlays, cleared out the creek near the sewer plant, which caused problems to water backing up on the athletic field. It was a natural drainage area, so we cleaned it out to where now we'll drain the athletic field behind the old middle school, or now the current jail. So we hopefully will get faster drying in that area. The sidewalk at the park, they've been working on that, extending the walking trail, basically from the bottom down there where it cuts north, heading up Benton and that, or cutting up south. Cutting up Benton on to connect it to the square area. Brought back 34th, we hauled AstroTurf out of the stump dump. The old AstroTurf that was taken from a lot down near the old schoolhouse. We hauled that off and basically sold it. And while I was out there making that run, we picked up 34 tons of salt for winters. Street department also cleaned out ditches at the industrial park. I stated that was asked when the park area near the city water tower will be mowed. That's up on Bobbydale. Had citizens talk to us about that, because that's an area that never gets mowed. It basically sits up there and goes wild right in that neighborhood. That park had been looked at years ago when I was on park board, about wanting whether the residents up there wanted a park. They decided no, so basically it's been laying, kind of just let go. And so I brought it up that it needs to be mowed, because it's between knee and thigh high in ragweed and all that stuff, which exacerbates people's allergies and stuff like that. So it's supposed to be getting done. This will be put on the list of areas to mow. I also stated that something needs to be done with the Nichols Apartments and some of the other buildings that we have going down Route 66, 17, up 17 towards Crocker. There's some stuff. We've got a house where the porch has got holes through the roof, right here on 17, just past the old meat market and the hair salon on the right. We've got a place that's had tarps, and they just keep adding a tarp. I mean, we need to take some action, because people maintaining their properties like that affect adjacent property owners. And so I'm pushing to get some abatement going. That, you know, that's, if you own a building, you're supposed to maintain it. We can't allow this to continue. And that was what I brought up at that end of that meeting. Subject to your questions.
Any questions? Moving on. Finance and Human Resources.
Meeting was called to order at 5 p.m. There were no citizens' comments. Minutes were approved. Committee reviewed bills and approved them for payment. Cash flow account status, year-to-date budget review. As of October 1st, 2020, the city has completed 75% of its fiscal year. Revenue is tracking at 70%, with expenses at 68%. City bank accounts have $1.2 million restricted funds, $1.66 million in reserve funds, and $1.6 million in unrestricted available funds. FY 2021 budget, Mr. Gold presented the proposed budget to the committee. Final budget, budget will be presented to the committee in November for them to look at, approve, and send forward to the full council. Community improvement District budget, Mr. Doyle presented 2021 CID budget to the committee. Due to COVID-19, the reimbursement to the city from CID will decrease for the current budget year. Series 2011B, committee approved a letter of escrow instruction to the Bank of Oklahoma for a refund of $65,000 from escrow fund of the 2011 COP fund, now forwarded to City Council for final approval. City requested bids for $250,000 CD with local bank. Highest bidder was Bank of Missouri. Mr. Doyle stated the refund will be combined with reserve funds to open the CD before the end of the fiscal year. Other business, committee approved adding the animal shelter and the airport to the uniform reimbursement policy. Committee reviewed and approved annual PTO and comp cash-in letter for staff. Committee approved a new credit card processor for Forte. We went into closed session, returned to open session. The meeting was adjourned at 6:46. The next meeting will be held on November 12th.
Any questions for Mr. Liberty? Waynesville St. Robert Joint Airport Board. Councilman Wilson, give us some good news out there.
Good news is planes fly. No. So we talk about the revenue right now is tracking 70%, and the expenditures are 74%. Again, the fuel sales are continually staying stable and up better than last year, the previous years, at 16,000 gallons for the month, which is great. Also with social media, you know that the airport is functioning on Facebook, Instagram, and Messenger. And in September, what they have done is they have ran a few ads, and the result has been 70,000 impressions and 30,000 people reached, and an additional 108 people have actually liked the page. And I encourage everyone to go out and check out the page. They also improved the website to make it a lot easier to understand what the changes are with the pandemic that's going on. So go to the Fort Leonard Wood website, is flyflw.com. So make sure you go to that website and check out and learn more about it. Also on the Facebook page, you can see some of the ads. The ads, they have a Travel Tip Tuesday. They're putting a lot of information out. So if you have questions, you can definitely find the answers on the social media websites. Also with the government fares for flights have been reduced in hopes that they will allow military to travel using Contour. Also, our first request for the Aviation Cares Act has been received, about a little bit over $3,600. And this has been used to reimburse for the laptops and exhaust fans and light bar for the new truck and leaf blower and some other equipment to reimburse us for those things. There was discussion, kind of talked about a potential satellite location off installation that could be used as a place to facilitate people that live outside the installation that don't have access to the airport to possibly be transported on the installation to help facilitate more usage to the airport. Also on October 31st, we'll have the Pumpkin Fest in the Ruby Doo Park. The airport is going to help and set up a station, and they will also participate and give out some items. So come out and participate in the Pumpkin Fest. It is a drive-through event. There will be no walking. It'll just be vehicles going through, and it is for a 2-hour period on that Saturday from 2 to 4. So just come out and support us. If you still want to participate in that, of course, it's always available for you to come up to sign up. If you have an organization or just a group of people that want to give back out to the community, that is available as well. So you can contact me if you want to find out more information about that, about participating. Let's see. The next meeting will be Tuesday, October 27th at 3 p.m. at Waynesville, subject to your questions.
I do have a question. Has there been anything further on this shuttle parking or off-base parking and shuttling?
No, that was something that was actually just brought it up, and we were kind of working through that just as a brainstorm. And I think it's a great idea and
That's a good
opportunity to
idea.
reach out and to kind of tie us together as a community.
Have they, do they talk employments year-to-date at your meetings?
They do, but I don't have those numbers captured here, but I can give them to you.
Any other questions? Any further business, Mr. Doyle?
No, sir.
City Administrator report.
So I'll go through the report. It's, a lot of it's been covered, but 2021 department budgets, that has taken a lot of the month of September and most of October to actually analyze, go over, review with department heads any changes. So we've been very, very busy doing that. Currently, the staff is on track to provide the final budgets for November to the committees and council. And that's looking like we can provide those to the council for approval. CARES Act invoice, as we stated earlier, we've received information from the county on the CARES Act invoice that we had submitted a few months ago, and we're currently going through that. I would also like to state that the city is, even as early as today, we're still experiencing COVID expenses, and it's a daily phone call for us. The football field turf, Mike kind of covered that. Salt bins, he also covered that. I took some pictures to show the storage, the salt and storage that we brought. Project updates, Bluff Circle has been gone through, but that's a continuing project for our electric department as they do other things. Utility pole testing and electric right-of-way clearings all been covered. Park restroom also provided a few pictures of those guys extending the sidewalk up towards the downtown area. And then street paving, it has been discussed as well, but thought we would put some pictures in there. It looks very good. The patching along Old Farm Estates and other things is shown in there. So the guys have been very busy working, accomplishing those goals. Upcoming events, just to hear what Sean said, we're planning October 31st for Pumpkin Fest at Liberty Park.
Thank you, Mr. Doyle. Council comments. Let's start with Mr. Farnham.
I want to say thank you for getting rid of the astroturf. Also, I would recommend that if you haven't got a flu shot, go get one. We've seen what this COVID-19 has done to our society, and I think the flu shot makes a lot of sense, so go get one.
I just want
Choose your words.
I just want to say, watch out for the kids on Halloween. There's going to be a lot of them out there. They're also doing Halloween on post. They sent out an order that said that they work, but it's only going to be for Fort Leonard Wood residents. I don't think they're going to let anybody on and off to trick or treat. So that probably means our streets might be a little heavier than usual. So just watch out for the kids.
I'm going to say I had the opportunity to meet some constituents within my ward, and they are moving here in our communities from places like California. You're like, why did you pick here? They have no ties to anyone. They said, we like to feel here. So I wanted to say, just kind of get out and meet your neighbors and find out where they're from, and welcome them, because that's what we want. We want people to occupy the homes, because when they're lived in, they're most likely going to be taken care of, and it's going to improve our community as a whole. But just bust the bubble. Go out and talk to somebody, one of your next door neighbors, especially if you haven't even talked to them ever. But just talk to some people and get to know them, and welcome the new residents with open arms, so we can continue to grow as a community.
Mr. Curtis.
When I started serving on council, I went to one of my mentors and I said, well, what advice can you give me? And that mentor said, do your homework, get as much information as you can, and make the best votes you can on every decision. Well, on Mike's Road and Ground, I noticed that concerned citizens came in. One of the biggest disappointments that I have, we as council members get a lot of negative, but we never get feedback. We have citizens that will complain about the decisions we make, but rarely do we get citizens in our councils to give us feedback. So I urge our citizens, if you have an issue with the city, these men up here serve you. The best thing you can do is come in and give your concerns.
Thank
Very good.
you. Mr. Rice.
Well, I'm just going to recap something that's been covered several times for some fun events for the kids coming up. It's been a rough year on the kids, shutdowns, everything. This Saturday, Oktoberfest on the Square. Ursula's Schnitzel House will be serving food. Then Saturday, on October 31st, on Halloween, like mentioned, the Pumpkin Fest in the park. Then trick-or-treating is going on that night. Should be fun. Just stay safe.
Mr. LeGree.
As usual, thank you to all the city employees. You make us look good. One of the things, the Southern Gospel Reunion is Friday, October 16th and Saturday, October 17th at the Family Life Center, Westside Baptist Church. They have several singers. I've heard them. They're all outstanding. It'll be in an air-conditioned auditorium, favorite concessions, including ice cream sundaes, prize drawings, and free admission, thanks to the area businesses and churches. And also, Trunk or Treat is at the Bow and Barrel, October 31st from 3 p.m. to 8 p.m. Free for the whole family. Over 30 themed decorated trunks, DJ, dancing on the deck, trick-or-treating, pumpkin decoration, chili, many other goodies. Those are good places to bring your children, good safe places.
Mr. Conley.
Yeah.
They've covered almost everything, so I'm gonna go somewhere else. Before lightning struck. Way back in the dark ages, when Tom Tinsley was the city administrator, and I was a working police officer.
And a young man.
Yeah, that was a long time ago. One of my jobs was to go around the city and take photographs of decrepit buildings so that the city could do something about them. Unfortunately, after all these years, I could probably take those same photographs from the same buildings, even worse condition, and add to it a few. We've managed to get rid of several, but we've got buildings in this city that are literally falling down. Not only Nichols Apartments. I was on Bluff Circle, and there's a couple of houses there that need some tender loving care. We got one lot that's being used as a parking lot for, I don't know, for some reason. I know there's salvage or whatever. I would really like to see something done on that has not been done. And when your kids are out trick or treating, watch out. Be safe. It's not like when I was a kid, you go to people's houses. Don't do that anymore. You don't get handmade treats.
I remember those
The world
times,
has
too.
spun on its axis.
Popcorn balls.
That's right.
Yeah, you used to have
Candied
popcorn
apples.
Caramel apples.
Mr. France.
Tomato soup.
I appreciate your comments there, Ed, in regard to abatement. Sean came up with talking to people that just come here and they like our community. You know, part of it, of that has to do with how we look and how we care for our own community. And no one likes to be told that they're not taking care of their stuff. But there's a point in time where it's got to be done because of the adverse impact it has on the surrounding area and our community as a whole. I mean, when I first moved here, our square looked bad. And you know what? The business owners and the community came together, they got work, they got grants, and by golly, we branched out. We had some developers that come in and really did some good stuff. And we've got a lot of homeowners that are very proud of their homes. And then we've got some people who think that we're not in a planning and zoning type area. And I just think we've got to step up and do whatever it takes. And if that means we get our lawyer going, we get our lawyer going, or we get a lawyer that's going to get going and taking care of some of this stuff and get it going. Because, I mean, it needs to happen. Those things are a safety hazard. I've seen people, that, especially at Nichols, where doors are not, it's not boarded up, and I'm concerned about homeless, I'm concerned about drug use, kids that can get into there and do things.
Attractive nuisance, as Alan Clark used to say.
Absolutely. And, you know, if we don't do something, it's going to do nothing but continually get worse. Walking down 17 at night or periods of limited visibility, please, if you got kids that are doing it, put them in, make sure they're wearing light-colored clothes or have something that will bring them, that they can be seen. Adults, you ought to know better. The hoodies and the dark colors, wearing dark blue jeans, dark blue sweatshirts, and all that stuff, it doesn't cut it at night. If you're wondering why people get hit, it's because they don't make themselves obvious. We don't have sidewalks in certain areas, and it's going to be tough to get them. They're very expensive to do, but we've got to, you got to make yourself visible if you're going to be out walking the street late at night or during periods of limited visibility. So please think safety, not only about your kids, but of yourselves.
Thank you very much.
Can I get an alibi?
Sure.
I forgot to say it. I wanted to thank the guy who plays the guitar on the edge of Route 66. He possibly looks like the happiest man on the planet.
Amen.
And he's always having a good time.
Thank you. This is the 22nd Southern Gospel Reunion, and it will be COVID protected. There'll be spacing between people, and masks will be supplied if you need them. So please, if you have a chance and you like old Southern Gospel singing, please go. Mr. Wilson, thank you again for that Fly Fort Leonard Wood website. I think people should look at that more often. And by the way, Fly Contour